folks. Welcome to Relwof Sports Talk Show. I'm your host, Harmonie Lewis. Alongside is Mr. Christian. Please introduce yourself to the crowd.
Yes, sir. Christian here, buddy.
All right. The human excrement, which is called Mr. Donald Sterling. If you haven't heard, the man has had some private conversations come to light, which is really disgusting because those comments were actually, to describe it in one word, is complete racism and bigotry. I know there's too many crappy words that I'm using crap because I don't want to use the other word because of FCC regulations.
It's a family show.
But to be honest with you, that's what the man is.
Yeah, man.
Like, as a person who actually had to play for the team, if I was a Clipper, I probably would have pulled a Sprewell.
Yeah.
And I think it would have been okay. I think it would have been justified if Chris Paul would have walked up to Donald Sterling, choked him out a little bit, and then people would have said, you know what, Donald, you might have deserved it.
Yeah, man. But this is a problem, man. Like, I've been listening, right? I've been listening to a lot of these different shows. I've been listening to a lot of the reaction. And here's a common reaction that I'm hearing, and it's really pissing me off. I don't know if I can say piss, but I just said it. A lot of people are saying things like, yeah, what he did was wrong, but what the man says in the privacy of a conversation, it's wrong that it came out. And I'm sitting here and I'm like, is there really a but in this? Like, is there really a but? Is there really something is there really something that's worse than what he said? Does it even matter that it was a private conversation? Like, what he said it. It came out. That's it. He's racist. Like, I don't care about the manner in which it came out. I don't care about how he said it. I don't care about any of that extra stuff. He said what he said, and that needs to be dealt with. And I'm happy Silver did what he did.
There is a problem, the fact that it probably is against the law and the way it came out.
I don't care.
I don't care either. Like, I'll be straight up. I don't give a damn. The fact that he came out and he was racist and showed it to the world is nothing new. Yeah. That's the problem.
Yep.
The fact that he came out with a private conversation that became public isn't the problem. Yeah. The problem is, it started from 1983, 2 years from owning the team, he told the Villanova coach, why do you want to coach these ends? And then he came on a bunch of years later, hired Elgin Baylor, made him the GM, made him the lowest GM in the league, and it was terrible. Yeah. And who knows if Donald Sterling, being the racist that he is, you don't need quotations. He came out and said it, you know.
Yeah,
but
ain't no secret.
I mean, he's kind of said that he's not a racist,
right?
But he just doesn't want to be around black people. He doesn't believe that he's on the same level.
I hate that mentality.
But the problem is, he was like that before. Right. The league knew about that before. David Stern knew about that before. That was one incident. Another incident besides Elgin Baylor, the Villanova coach, was Corey Maggette coming out and saying, hey, Sterling used to come down and say, oh, look at these beautiful black players. He was selling them in slavery.
What bothers me though is that it all comes out now. I hate when an incident happens and then the floodgates open. Like, why wasn't this taken care of back then? Why wasn't it taken care of when he was talking about how he doesn't want to rent his apartments to black, Spanish, and single parents? Like, why wasn't this a problem then? Why is it a problem now that it came out and it's as blunt as it is? Like, to me, that's an issue. This should have been dealt with a long time ago.
People were talking about this. But people had articles and people still said nothing. Yeah. But Monty Jones came out with like 4 or 5 articles writing about it. He wrote about it, last year, the year before, 09, 06. People were just straight up ignoring him. And then on top of that, knowing all these rumors, not knowing that this ain't a rumor.
Right.
The whole discrimination lawsuit, that was not a rumor. That was not a rumor. That was not a secret. The NAACP gave him a Lifetime Achievement Award and was supposed to give him another one again.
Yeah,
that's the problem. The fact that like
money can buy you a lot of things.
And because Donald Sterling had a lot of it, he was buying it. He even had even his side chick who was coming to the games while his wife was pretending to cry. Yeah. She was also part of that discrimination.
She was definitely a part of it.
She was part of
She's trying to play the victim, trying to separate herself from him. You're married to this man for 50 years. There is no way in the world that he was a racist and you had a problem with it for 50 years. Exactly. There is no way in the world. You can't tell me that she doesn't accept or adopt some of that mentality also. It was also rumored that she was one of the people talking about how she doesn't want her properties rented out to Spanish people because they're dirty, because they don't keep up they don't know how to clean, and they keep their property too dirty. It's like, come on, don't try to play victim. Don't try to separate yourself. You were married to this man for 50 years. I've been married for 10. When you're married to a person for that long, you start to become a part. You know what I mean? You start to become one. You start to meld.
You know one thing that she did that you didn't touch on. I don't know if you were gonna touch on. I don't even know if you knew. But here's one interesting thing that she did, and now she's claiming that she's not racist. She actually dressed up as a utility worker to go into Donald Sterling's property to figure out who was living there, and if there was a minority, she was finding a way to kick them out. That's the level of how much that's the level of how racist they were. They went underground. Yeah, they probably tried to destroy the Underground Railroad. That's how racist.
You know what kills me though? With this whole I'm not racist thing is nobody thinks they're racist until a black person comes home with their daughter. Like that's when the real racism starts to come out. Nobody's racist. Nobody thinks they're racist until we get close, until it's personal. Then all of a sudden, they start talking about black folk. Like he probably didn't think it was racist till he saw his side chick standing with a black man. Then all of a sudden, it's a problem. You know what I mean? Like, come on,
he in the tape, he actually broke it down. Mm-hmm. He actually said why he was associating himself with that. He said that he clothed them. He fed them. He made sure that they were taken care of.
Thank you, Master.
Like, I mean, are you kidding me?
Thank you, Master.
Like, even though like
so did the plantation.
Yeah, he doesn't want to be. He was mad at his black, Spanish, Latina girlfriend, part white girlfriend. He was mad at her because he brought Magic Johnson and she was taking pictures with black people. And he saw himself as not a racist.
Right.
Because he felt that as long as I pay them, as long as I get something for them, as long as this woman, I refuse to say her name. I'm not gonna go there.
It was also hilarious when it came out that he didn't want to pay Reddick because he was white. He doesn't believe in paying white players too much money. Like on the surface, that seems like, oh, well, that's not racist. Here's why that is racist. Because he sees us black folk as like these big gorilla assets that we deserve to be paid more money because we're black, we are the athletes, and white people can't be the athletes. Like, it's still such a racist mentality.
He's so far gone in his ways.
Yeah,
that
he's 80.
He didn't even take the decency to call up Adam Silver on the phone and apologize for what he said. Yeah, I think there was like a small. I think it was a small statement saying that those words don't represent him, right? Or some small deposition that he made a lawyer sign up, which he's a lawyer himself.
He's a lawyer. That's where he makes his bones.
And he's gonna fight to the death.
He is,
because that's what he does. Yep. He's been fighting people for years. If he fires you, guess what you do? He doesn't pay you, so you can sue and he can settle, so he can save money. So not only is he a racist bastard, he's a cheap bastard.
He's a smart racist bastard too. I mean, you don't get that rich. Without being dumb. So he knows what he's doing. So the NBA needs to at least look their boots because they're gonna be in for the fight of their life. I'm wondering who's gonna own this team now, though.
I really don't care who owns the team as long as it's not him. Because really and truly, it really doesn't matter who owns the team as long as it's not this guy. And as long as it's not the NBA. Because we saw how that happened to Chris Paul himself before. Yeah, and for Chris Paul to go through another owner change, another horrible that's the true victim in this. The Players Association leader. Chris Paul decides to move from a team who was owned by an owner who moved them because, ironically, he had some racist ties too. And the fact that they moved him over to New Orleans, then he had to sell a team, then the NBA owns it. I wonder how they're going to position themselves to actually sell the team now, because even though he's going to be forced out, how are they going to actually legislate the sale? That's the bigger question. How are they going to legislate the sale? How are they going to legislate how much this team is really worth? Yeah. And how is, when the sale happens, can the NBA force themselves to buy it and then they will sue the league?
I know there's been rumors that Oprah's crew is looking at buying the team if they have it out there. They say when Magic said no. Magic said that he wouldn't buy the team. No, he didn't say that. He actually said that he would buy the team. Okay, I didn't hear that part. Yeah, he did say. I was about to say that though. Like, it's really hard to believe that Magic Johnson would pass up on owning an LA team.
I would actually want Magic Johnson to knock on Donald Sterling and look him in the face and say, you're gonna have to sign this team with me. I want you to sign this paper. Make sure you put it in ink. I want to look at you while you giving your team up because you didn't like my picture on the internet. That was the reason.
What he should do is he should talk to his side chick and have her sit with him courtside at one of the games. Then I'm gonna shake that man's hand. That'd be hot.
But the fact that she's not even showing her face anymore. She looks like an astronaut. She's just wearing. I guess she's Lady Gaga at this point. Yeah. She ain't trying to show her face, man.
She's embarrassed. But you know what? Honestly, it was partially her doing too. I mean, you put it all out there, so you can't be embarrassed now. You the one that put it all out there. It didn't have to be a public
Actually, she did not put out the tapes. It was a different party that put out the tapes because. Ironically, which nobody's talking about here, Donald Sterling was worried that he was losing his memory, and because he was losing his memory,
I heard about that.
He actually requested tapes to be recorded. So it might be a chance that he knows that it was actually being recorded here. And in California state law, they actually require that both parties know. Right. They have to be consented before that tape can actually be put out there for the listening public. Yeah. I mean, criminally, I don't think he'll be able to go to jail. I don't know if he could sue her because all he'd do is just repossess the cars that he gave her and evict her like he's done every other minority that he's ever had in one of his
They put it out there that
mansions or something.
I wanted to mention they put it out there that if Silver didn't come down as hard as he came down, that the players were gonna strike per se and walk off the court at the playoff games, that they were gonna leave. Personally, I think that would have been wrong. And for this is the reason why. I think that you can't punish the fans for something that this man did. I think that a lot of people paid a lot of money and traveled really far, hotels, travel arrangements. Like I said, the money that they spent taking time off of work, some people, and they come to a game and then you guys walk off the court. I get the message. I get the message you're trying to send, but it has to be, to me, it would have had to be delivered in a different manner than that. I don't think that would have been the right way to show your displeasure with what happened.
Well, in every sport, players. In every sport, all the four major sports in this country, hockey, baseball, football, basketball, they've all managed to strike. Yeah. And there's always striking points to make you strike. This is so egregious to most of the players in the league, the people in the stands would have understood. And because it was a playoff game, they would have eventually played the game.
I gotta disagree.
They would have eventually played the game. Even if they would have walked off the court, they could have walked off the court. They were eventually going to play that game because it was the playoffs. There was no way they're not playing that game.
Well, that's what they said though. That they weren't going to play the games.
They weren't going to play that game that night. But they were eventually going to play that game.
Eventually, yeah, that's fine. But even that night to me would have been wrong. If I'm spending $1,000, if I drop a stack and I go to a game and no game is played, I'm pissed.
Well, then, that's still gonna happen. That happens in baseball all the time because of Mother Nature.
Yeah, but they get reimbursed. I don't know whether or not they would have reimbursed them or not. But if let's say I take off of work, and for months, I've had this particular work day set up that I can't get off any of it.
Well, it's a little different because it's a playoff game. Right. It's not like a regular season game.
And in baseball, you got 162, so you can make it up any time.
Well, the thing is about the playoffs. There's not a set date, so you basically have 2-3 weeks.
Right.
If you understand that this is a topic that is going to take over, and this is a very, very, very unique circumstance here that I don't think as a fan you should get mad at the players for standing up for what they believe, because eventually that game would have been played. It's not like a regular season. If this was a regular season game, I believe that game would have been canceled.
Right.
Then the fans would have had more strife. Since this is the playoffs, I think this game, even if you had to suspend the NBA season for 2 weeks until they handle this Donald Sterling situation and make sure it's a lot, they ain't gonna lose money because it's already paid for. And the fact that this negative story is taking over the league and it shadowed the league, the fact that Adam Silver saved it in a way that he made it quick, precise. The story happened on a Thursday or Friday, it ended by a Monday or Tuesday.
I really don't think that the fans would really understand as much as you're saying if they lost out on a playoff.
They're not gonna lose it. They're just gonna postpone it. It's not. You think they would have canceled a playoff game? So they'd have played the first four.
No, they would have
not played it.
No, they would have played the game, but that doesn't mean necessarily that the fan would have been able to make the next game that they play. And so for that fan who can't make the game and just loses out on $1,000, I know for me, I'm black. I hate what he did, but I'd be pissed. I'd be pissed off if somebody's gonna have to hear it. I wouldn't like that.
Yeah, but I can't blame the players for that.
I feel you. I mean, I guess we can agree to disagree, but I know I'd be upset. I'd be upset because it's like, look, I'm with you. You know what I mean? I'm with you. I face the same struggles. But I don't want to lose $1,000 over the struggle.
You're not losing the money. That's what I'm talking about. It's a playoff game. They're going to reschedule. If you can't reschedule, it's a playoff.
I'm talking about the people who can't go.
You can sell a ticket. It's called StubHub, man. You find a way. If you want to keep the ticket and you don't want to, exactly, you want to go, but if you can't go, you sell a ticket. You probably flip that ticket. It's a playoff game.
You either miss out on the experience of the playoff game, or you miss out on the money. Like, to me, that's too much people losing in that type of situation for them to do what they were planning on doing. It had to be a different way.
The fact that they threatened and they got something done, I'm glad the players.
I respect that.
I'm glad they took a stance and they made sure. Adam Silver said, "Okay, we need this dude gone. I don't care. You ain't got to go home, but you got to get the hell up out of here." I mean, you can't even go back home because right now it's gone. To be totally honest with you.
We're now in the playoffs, and it has been a really weird. This has been the weirdest, to me, the weirdest playoff experience that I've seen, with this included. Between this whole situation and between these teams that were supposed to blast through the first round, like the Pacers and like the Spurs and and the Wizards. I mean, come on, who saw all of this first round upset happening?
Well, I'm gonna touch on the last point that you made, because the Wizards, they did beat the Bulls in the first round. I thought that was gonna happen because Chicago can't score. They're decrepit.
Chicago. They're Chicago, man.
I don't give a damn if you can't score. If you can't score, you're not winning.
Yeah, but
you can't. Like Noah has the ugliest jump shot in the game, and he goes out with his guns blazing.
Yeah.
Yo, he looks so weird jump shooting. And Thibodeau, I love Thibodeau. You can't count
the Bulls out though. Like they're
they're
so hard. They have so much heart that I really thought that they would gut this one out and then lose in the next round.
But
I didn't think they were going to win past the second round.
The problem is right there. The heart. The heart was burnt down to the ground. By the time they got to the playoffs, they had to work so hard just to get here. But they tired.
But who are the Wizards though? Like they haven't been in the playoffs in how long? This team has been bad for so long. And you got this battle-tested team, whether they can score or not. You got this coach who's a genius, who can take a bunch of nobodies and scrubs and make them so good. I figured that the Bulls would find a way. I figured that they'd or I'm sorry, not to cut you off. If they didn't find a way, at least take it to Game 7 and make it a series. Like the Wizards made them look like they didn't know what they were doing.
Well, there's two things about that. One, the Wizards played the whole year basically without Nene.
Yeah.
And Nene is a huge difference.
Yeah, he is.
Because with Chicago, dealing with Noah, dealing with Gibson, dealing with Boozer, dealing with some bodies, adding Nene, who is a body, who is decent in the post, has a little jump shot, is going to hurt you. And that made the Wizards that you saw the entire year that much better. Then you add in Chicago, and they've been playing the entire year with willpower, beating up on the teams that they should beat up on.
Yeah.
That when they play a team in the 7-game series, it's really hard to score, and they work so hard for baskets.
They have nobody to go to.
They work so
hard.
hard.
Nobody to go to. Every basket takes so much energy for them to make. It's crazy. But I still thought that with their battle-tested mentality, with their heart, with their coach, with their grit, that and it wasn't only because of that, but it's also because of who they were playing. Because they're playing the Wizards, a team who hasn't been. Wall's never even been in the playoffs. These people are so green when it comes to this. And in the NBA, a lot of times, experience takes you far in the playoffs. You know what I mean? A lot of times in the NBA, it's not always let me not say it's not always about talent, because the best teams do pretty much always win.
Well, it's showed in this series.
Usually the teams who are the best teams are the ones that are experienced and know exactly what to expect. Very rarely do you have that team that comes out of nowhere in the NBA and doesn't ever make it in the playoffs, and now all of a sudden they're making it in the playoffs.
All right, here's one thing I gotta explain before I move on to another series. The thing about the Wizards, they made it in the Eastern Conference. Let's be real, by default.
By default.
Because if you break it down, from Indiana to Miami, that was supposed to be the two teams, and everybody else was tanking for Wiggins, Parker, Exum, etc. And Randall, all them players in college.
Except we were trying.
Well, that's the irony. That's the irony of the whole thing. That's what happened pretty much. And then you got all these teams in there who, they said, well, we made it to the playoffs, like Toronto. They made it into the playoffs. But the fact that they made it into the playoffs, and they didn't want to, they traded their best player on the team, Rudy Gay, and they let him go because they're like, all right, we're tanking. They put it out there, okay, we're going to trade our second best player, Kyle Lowry, and guess what? They stayed on the 3 seed, and they was like, you know what? Dwayne Casey said, screw this.
But anyway, we appreciate your time for listening to us rant about, unfortunately, we had to talk about racism and whatnot, but I appreciate that. You could hit us up with questions or comments for anything you want on relwofmedia.com. I'm your host, Harmonie Lewis, a.k.a. Harm. You can hit up Christian. You can hit me up on thesportsnation.com. You can hit me up on the Sports Fusion at Twitter. And we appreciate you taking us the time, listening to us yak it up. And we'll do it for you real soon. This is Harm. Later, people.